Hello everybody, welcome to this special edition of the Ross Owen Show, coming to you direct from my house in Airdrie in Scotland. Today my special guest is someone I've been after for a long time. He just celebrated his 89th birthday last month. It's my pleasure to introduce the man who gave us Eric in Still Game, Jimmy Martin, on the line right now. Jimmy, thanks for joining us, how are you?
Hello, how are you?
Okay, I'm fine. I've just been plodding on, keeping myself as busy as possible. What about yourself? What have you been doing to keep yourself busy?
Well, I have lots of CDs, and I've been playing my favourite CD. But what I did do, I got this man I picked out 17 of my favourite songs from artists and various singers, and he put them all into one CD. And it's quite an eclectic bunch, you know, the whole thing. All of my favourite music thing. It goes from, there's a wee bit classic, not much classic, or all my favourite singers into that. And one in particular which I love is Perhaps Love, written by John Denver, and it's sung by Bryn Terfel. It's wonderful. Sinatra, interspersed with the Glasgow Orpheus Choir, like, you know. And then I've got, Sinatra, there's one Crosby number, but I've got quite a few others. It's quite an eclectic bunch. I've even got my favourite bit of opera. It's the Flowerette duet from Ladke by the Leap.
Lovely.
It's two girls singers, and it's absolutely beautiful. So it's an eclectic bunch of various stuff. I've even got Jimmy Durante singing two songs that he recorded for Sleepless in Seattle, and he sings them so beautifully, like enough, you know.
Now, you mentioned Frank Sinatra there, which reminds me of that episode of Still Game when Eric gets drunk and ends up doing a Frank Sinatra song in the karaoke.
Oh, yeah. And afterwards, you know, after it was recorded, Greg says to me, Jimmy Martin, that was the worst version of My Way. Well done.
But do you like to sing? Do you like to sing as well?
I will. Yeah, I've got a really good voice, but sometimes it's my music. I sang a solo to Giles Cathedral for a play, like, you know, specially written. It was Jesus Born in a Slum, and I managed to do that. And I've sang in other wee programs and things, like, you know. Sure. But my what do you call it? I'm partially tone deaf. When I learn a song, I've got to really hammer it, like, you know, till I get it right, like, you know.
Now, we do have some questions from the listeners for you, Jimmy. The first one is from Lucas Bolton, who wants to know, what was it about the character of Eric that attracted you to the role?
I just the fact that, you know, when we were talking about it, I was much older. I was the only one that didn't go to makeup, you know. I was in my late 60s when we first started, like, enough, you know. So that was what interested me. And then the things that happened to them were very funny, like, you know, all these stupid things that happened to them, you know. Sure. And the reason why Michael Hines took me on, I worked for him many, many years ago in a series called Barmy and Boomerang. And funny enough, one of the kids was Richard Madden.
Really?
Yes, he was a young wee boy at the time. He was a quiet wee boy. He promised, he looked as if he was going to be a good actor, which he did.
Oh, that's for sure. He's doing really well now. Now, one of the most popular questions coming from the listeners is, in the episode Doctors, when Eric pulls his leg out and presses his finger into his leg, people are asking, was that really your leg?
No. They got this guy in London to make a replica of my leg, like enough, you know. And it was uncomfortable because I had to sit with my right leg away at the back of it, like, you know. And then when I pressed it, and it really did go in and that, you know. It was wonderful how it was done, you know. It really was.
That was terrific.
Yeah. That's the one where I'm talking about, actually, they're about to have their soup. And I say, see when I take my cock out, and they stop, and then they go on about that, you know.
That's
well,
right.
that was done in one take.
Oh, was it really?
Yeah, and that went viral. It went everywhere, that one.
Great storylines that revolved around Eric. It was always there. What was your favourite ones to play?
There was one I liked very much when the because it's the after story, was when the hydrant blew me up.
Yes.
We were all sitting outside the Klansmen, and there was these kids across there. It was a sunny day, and they were playing with this hydrant, and I says, hey, look at it, Wayne, that's ridiculous. There could be a fire or something like that, and they say, oh, sit down, you old so-and-so. And I said, hey, don't listen, I used to be a fireman, and I went away up there, right? And then I bent down, and then they said, cut. And they brought this dummy, which was exactly how I was dressed, height, weight, everything, and then they put that down, and there was a sort of rope round it and was hidden a bit, and then what happened was they said, okay, action. But when it acted up, instead of a dummy going up, it went along, cut, and I'm standing there with the rest of the crew and all that, and the PA, and they said, well, try it again, and I says, Michael, Jimmy, I'm too busy, right? So he carried on, and I says to the PA, I says, the trouble is, that rope is not long enough. You need a lot of slack so that it'll go up the way instead of along the way.
Of course.
So she shouted, Michael, you'll have to listen to Jimmy. So they listened to me, and then it went away up.
And it worked.
But that was very clever the way it was done,
And of course, the famous one that everybody talks about constantly is Timpsons, when you guys fall on the ice.
Oh yeah, that well, there's a funny anecdote about that. That was one of the very first, right? And they wanted me, to do that, and I said that's fine. Oh no, we'll get a stuntman to do it. So it was they moved the far away camera, and they brought this stuntman in, and he was like a Greek god, He was a big guy, and he was so handsome. And I said, "Can you not get somebody bloody handsome?" So he did it, and then I went down and was laying on the ice, That was done up in Maryhill. Yeah.
We have another question here. This one's from Connor Keegan, who would like to know if you could have played a different character in Still Game, who would you like to have played?
Oh no! I loved Eric. I really did love Eric. Because it was my age. You see, I couldn't have played anybody else because they all had to go to makeup except me.
and Ross Smith wants to know if you had any input in the character.
Well, no, not really indirect. No, the guys were very guarded about that, and rightly so. It was their show, and that was it. From now, don't quote me on this, but I think originally when they sent it to the BBC, they wanted the two old guys to play it. Oh God, I can't remember their names. Two old guys, and the guys rightly said, "Oh no, we play it, I forget it." So, and that was it. So they played it,
Right.
So So I don't think it would have been as good with other guys in it. And Ford and I had a great rapport because our backgrounds were very similar, And he said, "Jimmy, have a look at that." And there was a letter from a wee boy. Dear Mr. Tiernan, all my friends and I, we love this show. I know we're not supposed to watch it, but you know something? It's made me appreciate my grandpa.
Ah.
There you go.
That's a great thing. That alone is and I think there's always a great message in it as well. There's always a serious message in so many episodes of Still Game. Did you ever have any? Well, this is a question from Lewis Beresford. Did you ever have any embarrassing moments during filming?
Not really. I don't think so. Well, at first when that scene about me. When I take my cock out and I want a piss and all that. At first I was a bit thingy about it. Then I thought, no, this is funny. This is funny. And it was like that. It was really good. I don't have any. No, not really. I can't even think. I just loved doing it. Right. I was a serious actor.
I was going to say that Eric was a fireman, but you used to be a fireman, and before that you were in the Navy. And I want to hear the story of how you got from that to becoming an actor.
When I was in the fire service, we had I was on the fireboat in Glasgow. I did 16 years there. That was 56 up to the early 70s. And I was in there at the time at Cheapside Street. I was on the fireboat, supplied most of the water for it. But anyway, what happened was the fireboat had to go into dry dock, so we had to go into a land station because we were trained as firemen originally. And I was at the West Fire Station in Cranston Hill, and we got a call. It was a Saturday afternoon. We got a call to a fire in St. Edith Square, a one-story office up there. Right? So I was on what they all called the old pump escape. That was the appliance that had two big wheels with a ladder on it. And we got there, rolled the appliance off, put chocks on it, and then wound it up. And I was the ladder man. I had to go up, way up, right, up 55 feet.
Jeez.
They threw up a rope, and I pulled up the hose, right, and I tied the hose round a bit, and those were the big old brass nozzles, right. I broke the window with the nozzle, blank, 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 and I shout, "What's her on?" And the water comes up, like, and I just went in, and I squished all around for about 3 or 4 minutes, and the fire was out, right. So anyway, that was it, like, so I held the hose and to let it run, let it dry out, like, and then I lowered it away down, and then I couldn't get out the ladder. My left leg was stuck in the ladder, like, and there was a big crowd. It was a Saturday afternoon in St. Edith Square, like, and the station officer said, "Right, Jimmy, come on, knock off, make it up." We all wanted to get back to get the football results on the Saturday afternoon, and I couldn't get my leg out. And I shouted, well, I whispered out, "Hey, steady, I can't. What are you saying? I can't get. You need to shout." I said, "I'm stuck, I can't get out." So I was rescued from my own ladder by 2 firemen. And when I come down, the crowd all clapped. And if I knew I was going to be an actor, I would have taken a bow. But anyway, I had to go into the hospital, and in those days, my cartilage had locked. I played a lot of football. I had to go into the hospital, and I was in those days, cartilage was a big operation, and I had to keep my leg immobile for 6 weeks, like, and already was doing some extra work in television, and I got an equity card, like, and my agent at that time, Freddie Young, says, "Jimmy, you got an awful lot of time off. Maybe we'll get you wee things to do and things like that." So I did that, and I was starting to exercise my leg, and I started getting a line here and a line there. And then she says to me, "Jimmy, I could get you into drama college." Well, I was married with 2 young kids at the time. I says, "How long is it?" 3 years. She says, "I could get you a bursary." I says, "No, that's too long, 3 years. And then a week later, she come on again. She says, "Sandy Nielsen is starting dramatic art and related studies at Telford College. I was telling him about you." And he says, "Oh, yeah, I want to be, that would be great," like, because he knew me.
Right, right.
So I went there for a year. All my classmates were 18 to 22, and there was me in my late 60s. But it was great. We did wonderful things. We did pantomime, and I loved pantomime, and there wasn't much work. In fact, they were building new studios in Glasgow, so there wasn't a great deal of work anywhere, like, and there was an open audition for this panto in the workshop in Edinburgh, and I went down there, and I'm getting interviewed, like, and they would say, now it's Dick Whittington, and there is a scene where there's a shipwreck, right? So the curtain comes down, but it's a net curtain, and there's octopi and fish on it, and then everybody's swimming in slow motion, singing A Yellow Submarine, right? Give us a Yellow Submarine. I said, "No, I'm sorry, I don't know it." "You don't know it?" "No," I said, I really don't know it. And he looked at the producer, and I said, "But listen, I can sing underwater." "What do you mean, sing underwater?" I said, "Well, I'll let you know." So I went, well, I got a part. I got a solo to sing. I did 6 weeks work that Christmas.
That sounds so funny. It's great.
Yeah, I can do funny voices and things. My mother was brilliant at it, Yeah.
Are you going to demonstrate any of your funny voices for us?
That's all, folks. Porky Pig.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
No. Oh, yeah.
To do. Remember this. A kiss is still a kiss. A sigh is just a sigh. That's the one he sings in Sleepless in Seattle.
As time goes by. Brilliant.
I've got this macular rate, Ross. This macular degeneration. That's why I got all these things for. I don't know what I told you. War blinded. You know, I did a big thing at Silly University for Unforgotten Forces.
Mm-hmm.
It was a 3-day symposium, like, you know, and they asked me to go along, right? Because I was a thingy boy, I was a poster boy for Scottish Poppy at one time, right?
Oh.
So anyway, and what happened was I had to open it up, they introduced me, and I gave this 12, 14-minute speech, and it went viral. I made it very funny, and I made this this lovely poem at the end about the war and things, and oh God, and it went. In fact, you can get that online. It's Scottish Poppy, Edinburgh University, or you can get it on Facebook. So it was one of my best 15 minutes ever, and the poem at the end was about the war. And joke went into the pictures. It was a lovely little poem, you know.
And can you remember it?
Yeah.
Do you want to recite it?
Oh, okay. Jock went into the boozer, just had a hoffing name there, for whiskey wasn't the answer. He found no solace there. But what do you do on a Saturday night when you're on the loose, and a dear loved wife is dead and gone? You can't bide in the house. So Jock went into the pictures. He didn't mind what was shown. They gave him a scene in the crowded hall, and he sat there on his own. The scene on the screen was a battleground, where the shot and shell was flying, and the Hollywood hero was holding the heat of his Hollywood pal who was dying. Jock sat there in the darkness, and he thought back through the years. He minded the war to end all war. He minded his own salt tears. The brother he lost at Passchendaele, and the other at Neuve Chapelle. And he thought of the beach in Normandy, where his own dear lads would fell. Then Jock went out to the cold wet street, aimed his own blood and ben. Just one of the many who lived unsung, just one of the breed called men.
Wow. Wow. That was beautiful.
They loved that for the thing. Because of that, because I was introduced as a veteran, which I was, like, you know, and this lady came and she was interviewing me, and then she said, "What was your time?" I said, "Well, I joined the Royal Navy in 1949 at the age of 17, and I was then on it till 1956, and then I was 5 years in the reserves." And she said, the only conflicts I was involved in was the Korean War and the Suez Crisis, and I was heavily involved in the Suez Crisis. So she shut her book and she said, "Oh, well, that's you in." And I've got this phone, I just press a button and it tells me the time. I've got this other one here just beside me.
It's 4:23.
And it's telling me the things that I've got. I use a symbol stick. You ever seen these folded white sticks?
Yes.
I've got one of those, and that's to let people know that I've got macular degeneration.
Right.
You know?
Had you known... Well, first of all, what made you decide to call it a day with Eric?
Well, I was in my late 80s, you know, and the travelling was getting me down, and that's when my macula first started, like enough, you know, and it was sort of getting me down. And actually, the guys tried to talk me out of it, you know, because they already had an episode written, and then they wrote that episode, and then they to their credit, they put in the two of them were walking along. They said, "Aye, Jimmy, or Eric, you know, Eric was in the Navy." And the other Greg says, "And he was a fireman too." And then Ford says, "Aye, but he was also a stallion."
I thought that was a nice tribute, the way they sent Eric off. But would you have?
Oh yes.
Would you have stayed had you known the series was going to come to an end when it did?
No, I don't think so. No, I really, no, I had no idea of that. In fact, when I finished that last scene, right now, I'm lying dead on the puggy, right, and you lie there till the director shouts cut, right. So I'm lying there, and I'm waiting. There's no cut, and I say, "Oh God, there's no cut," you know. And eventually he says cut. And then when I up and turned around, there was all the cast, all the technical crew, all the administration, all there, and they were all clapping, and I was crying a wee bit, like, you know. And then Michael gave me a director's black chair, a beautiful black chair, with my name on the back, like, you know, the name on the back. And, we were filming in Naveed's shop, like, you know, and I'm to stand at the back there for a wee while, like, you know, and the floor manager says, "Jimmy, would you like a chair?" I said, no, I'm fine, no, okay. But I was standing there for quite a long time, And then the wee PA came up, like, you know, and she says, Jimmy, I can get you a chair. I said, no, honestly, I'm fine. Then there was a hiatus. And then Michael came in with his black chair. Put your bastard down. and that was that. You know. And then I've got, they gave me the clapper board. Do you know the clapper board?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And it's got, you know, James Martin, Eric, and all the autographs of all the cast and everything was on it.
Fantastic.
And I'm just looking at it now in my wee up here. So they did me proud.
Now,
you know.
Can I say, you just celebrated your 89th birthday last month? Is that just in March? There?
That's right. Yes. Well, that's me in my 90th year.
Many happy returns. Congratulations to you.
Thank you.
Now, just again to talk about a wee bit more about Still Game. What's your favourite episode to watch?
I think, believe it or not, I wasn't in it very long, and I love it, and I love being in it. It was the one where the bully with the dog in the park, like, you know, they decided to have what do you call it, up in the roof.
The garden in the roof,
and
yes.
a barbecue, right? And I'm doing the barbecue, like, enough, you know. And that was a couple of lines or something like that. And then all of a sudden, the bully comes in with a dog, like, you know, he found out and he come up and with a dog. And Winston looks at him, like, you know, and he's got a stick, you know, Winston, and he gets him the stick and he throws the stick over the side and the dog jumps away over that. That was my favourite episode, and I was only in it a minute or two.
Kaiser,
I thought it was great.
Kaiser was the dog, and Gary Sweeney, that's right, he played the Ned. Gary went on to appear in River City.
That's right, yeah.
Now, did you have a favourite line that you had as Eric?
Oh, I'm trying to think. A favourite line. Oh God, most of them were memorable.
Yes,
you know.
I mean, there's so many.
Tell you something. I found learning those lines there easy. You know, for a long, long time, I never dried. You know, and then when they came to show the six to the public, like, you know, they always put in the cutouts, you know, the mistakes that were made, and they never showed one of mine because I never made any. But what they did do, they had that old scene where them, you know, they're eating the soup and I'm talking about my cocks, like, you know. So they put that on, like, you know. That was a great scene to do. It really was.
But there were so many memorable ones for Eric. I mean, ones that I can think of off the top of my head. Of course, there was the gambling episode with the poker and all that one.
Tam is actually, he's greedy about winning. Do you remember? That's the one, isn't it?
That's right.
Now I'm standing at the back. There was 4 or 5 extras at the front, right enough, you know. And when we rehearsed it, I have to bust through, like, you know, I bust through. And the extras weren't moving. The extras in those days, they just wanted to be seen. Like,
yes,
you know,
of course.
They weren't moving, like, you know. And I looked at Michael, and Michael says, do it, you know, do it. Like, so anyway, when it came to the take, like, you know, I made a rush and I bust right bloody through them.
So they didn't know you were going to bust through them that?
No, yeah. They wouldn't let me through. The extras in those days, you know, they always wanted to be seen.
Of course.
You know, and earlier in Sutherland's Law, I played this burglar, right? This was years ago, way back, right? And Ian Cuthbertson was playing the Procurator Fiscal. He was the star of it. He was playing that. And I was Willie Brown or something. And I robbed this guy's house, and I found incriminating evidence that he was corrupt. A councillor, he was corrupt, right enough, you know. So in those days, photocopy machines were very rare. They had a public one in Central Station, you know. So I went to Central Station and I photocopied these documents, right? And then I posted them to him, and I demand, like, you know, I demand £2,000, like, you know, or I'm going to expose them. So he gets into a panic, and he says, right, okay, come to the house. My family are away for the weekend. Come to the house on Sunday night, like, but come in the back garden, through the garden, and I'll leave the back door open for you, right? So anyway, I did that, and I was in, and I just went into the house when he clubs me with a driver, a golf driver, bang, and I'm dead right away, like, you know. So anyway, that was me. And what had happened was I had to be placed in naval mortuary, like, you know. And I'm in there at that time. It's all boxes, big boxes, and each individual boxes for the bodies, but it's wire baskets you're in. So inside you can see everybody else, and, you know. just you pull out your wire basket when you sit.
Right.
So I'm lying in there, right, and I'm lying there, and I've got white makeup on, and a wee goatee beard put on, lying there, and the Sutherland comes in with this extra, and he used to open it up and say, "Is that Willie Brown?" Well, this extra, he was a wee guy, and he's just to nod, But I was on the third tier, right? I was on the third tier, so he couldn't see me. So the floor director said, "Right, okay, cut." He called to the director who was in next room looking at the thing. Said, "We'll need to come out again, Jimmy. Come out, Jimmy. Go into the second one, right? Okay." So I come out. Now there's a refrigerating machine in there. It goes on every now and again to keep it cold, So anyway, I come out. And I get ready, and I go into the second one, and then they said, "Okay, rehearsal," right? And that worked, So anyway, they put it in, and they were going for a take, right? And I'm lying in there, and the machinery started working, the refrigerator, and I said, "Oh God, I'll need to wait." Now it goes on for about 2 or 3 minutes, and I'm lying there, and then it stopped, and I said, "Okay." I'm lying there, nothing, no other things happening, and I thought, "Oh," and I went bump, 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 and I heard this unearthly scream. Apparently, when I went in and the thing went on, they had a lighting fall. So the floor manager said, "Okay, tea break, have a minute." And they all left. And they got me, and they got me. Right. So it was this Canadian trainee. She was sitting there, and she took the quiet to write out the call sheet for the next day, and when I went in the bump, she screamed bluebird. So there were panic stations come in, and somebody said, "No, but Jimmy." Yeah. So I come out, I was bloody frozen, and the poor lassie. So she said, when I heard that noise, I shit her bricks.
I can just imagine.
Oh
my God.
Dear.
I've
got lovely memories.
What's the most unusual time, the most unlikely time you've been recognised?
Was in Chicago, right? There's the Steppenwolf Theatre in Chicago is the best theatre in America. That's where all the big names learn their craft, oh God, you name it, Malkovich, all the big names learn their craft. And we were going to New York, and this was for my 80th birthday. And Christine said, "What do you want to do for your 80th birthday?" I said, "Christine, I want to forget it." No. And I thought, well, we're going to New York. I said, "Can we do a weekend in Chicago? I want to visit the Steppenwolf Theatres." Right, so we organised that. I'm a Celtic supporter, so I phoned up Celtic and I said, "Can you tell me the pubs in Chicago that show the Celtic game?" And she come back again. She said, "Yeah, there's 3, but one in particular is the Atlantic Bar and Grill in Lakeshore Drive. It's a big restaurant and grill, and there's all Celtic supporters and stuff like that." So anyway, I'm going to Chicago, phoned them up. Yeah, come along. Saturday morning. Now, Saturday morning, 10 o'clock, they see the game, which is here at 3 o'clock. So here, early, late, whatever you call it. And I went along, and I just went in the door. It was a sunny day, and I was standing on the wee platform down, and this big guy came rushing at me. He had Chicago Fire Department on, and he says, "Hey guys, it's Eric we still game. Hey, Eric, my sister from Mary Hill sends all the DVDs and that, So he quieted. He'd been 22 years in the Chicago Fire Department, wow. And it was as if he left Glasgow the other day, So anyway, and he was hugging me around like that, and then he said to the barman, "So you said Rod Stewart was a celebrity?" "Aye, Rod, whenever he plays Chicago, he comes here to watch the Celtic games, So anyway, we settled down 10 minutes before the game started. Rod Stewart comes in with a couple of minders. "Hi guys," and they take his coat, and he sits in front of me. I'm in a high chair, sits in front of me, and the game's going from end to end and end to end. Celtic scores against Dundee. Celtic scores 2, and it was 2-1 at half time. And the half time started and the guys came up and they said, "Eric," he says, "can all the boys get their photos taken with that, right?" So they did the selfies, and then they moved on to Rod Stewart. When it was finished, the big guy, Smitty his name was, he said, "Hey Rod, you want your photos taken with Eric?" And he came across came across. They said, "How do you do it?" I said, "Oh, Mr. Stewart, it was actually a show I do in Glasgow thing, like enough. I says, but I see my seat in Celtic Park is down. Well, you're up in the thing, we're down in front of you. But whenever you come, like we can wave to you." Anyway, it was 2 years later. I'm at Celtic Park. I can't go now, but Celtic Park, and Rod Stewart comes down, like and he's looking. And the guy next to me says, "Hey, there's Rod Stewart up there." So I turned around and I looks up, and he saw me and he gave me a wave.
Oh wow, that's
I remember. And that photo, there's a photograph, and that's on the net somewhere as well. I've got my CD thing, or my showreel on the net,
right,
and I think they put that in as well.
Oh,
and we had a good Blair there. He was a lovely guy.
Jeez,
so that was that.
Well,
would you like recognized by a fireman in Chicago?
And did you must have had a great chat with the fireman as well. I bet you told him about your time in the fire service and.
Oh yeah. I think he knew I was in the fire service, but then I was talking to him about Cheapside Street where we lost all those men, 19 men, and I was on duty that night too, And I went home the next day and I cried my eyes out because I lost 3 of my best friends.
Oh, such horrible times. But
yeah,
but after that, you obviously life did get better and things blossomed. And
oh yeah, I can remember most of my lines for various others. My Shakespeare. I did this talk called Tales of a Thespian for Macula and various other organisations. Breast cancer. My daughter's breast cancer, and in part of it, I do a speech from Shakespeare. It's from Hamlet. Polonius' speech to his son Laertes, who's about to sail for France to be educated, right? So I say to the people, I'm going to do it twice, and I do it the way it is we done in the stage, Yeah, Laertes. And he said, then when I finished, I said, no, I'm going to do the same one, but this time Polonius is a Glaswegian, right? So yeah, here Laertes, aboard for shame. The wind sits in the shudder of your sail that you are stayed for. There, my blessed season, listen ye, and these few precepts in thy memory seize our character. Give thy thoughts no tongue, nor any unproportioned thought is act. Be thou familiar, but by no means vulgar, and the friends thou hast in their adoption try, grapple them to thy soul with hoots of steel. But do not dull thy palm with entertainment of you hast unfledged coming. Beware of entrance through a quarrel, but being unbeard to the opposing may be wary of thee. Give every man thine ear, but few thy voice. Take each man's censure, but reserve thy judgment. Costly thy habit as thy purse can buy, rich no galas, for they in France of the best rank and station are most select and generous chief in that. Neither a lender nor borrower be, for loan off-loses both itself and friend, and borrowing dulls the edge of husbandry. And this above all, to thine own self be true, and it must follow as the night the day, thou canst not then be false to any man. They're on your way, and hey, don't forget to write to your ma.
Magic. Jimmy, thanks again for taking the time to speak to us today. We really appreciate that.
Ross, thanks for listening to me. Take care.
Thanks, Jimmy.
Okay, bye.
Cheers now, bye.